Coming up next on Avid Achievers, we are joined by an alumnus from Annapolis High School. Hello, and welcome to Avid Achievers. I am your host, Dada Rita, coordinator of AVID. Today on Avid Achievers, we are joined by an AVID alumnus, Rachelle Prevette, a 2014 graduate of Annapolis High School and a graduate of Hampton University and Georgetown University. We are also joined by Stephanie Great, one of Rachelle's AVID teachers at Annapolis High. Thanks for joining us.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Ms. Great, how long have you been an AVID teacher?
I've been an AVID teacher for 17 years.
And what do you enjoy most about being an AVID teacher?
I enjoy working with diverse students. Annapolis High School is a very diverse school, so just learning the different cultures and just the family aspect of teaching AVID. And just when the kids come back after they meet that goal, because a lot of the students have been in AVID since 6th grade. And so when they meet their goal, their ultimate goal is 4-year college. And when they come back and they talk to the students, it's amazing to see the success that they've had and just the experiences that they've gone through.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Do you have a good story to share with us about Rachelle from high school?
Rachelle, it's been a minute, but not that long since she's been out of high school. But I would say just her being a well-rounded student and just very easygoing, and she was very popular. And she participated in a lot of things: clubs, basketball, cheerleading, lacrosse. She really enjoyed her high school career, and I think that went on into her college career as well.
That's awesome. Rachelle, we're always happy to welcome back our AVID alumni to AACPS to share your experiences and your post-secondary journey. We're so glad that you could join us. So tell us a little bit about your experience in Anne Arundel County Public Schools.
Yeah, so I'm born and raised in Annapolis, Maryland, so I went through elementary, middle school, and high school in Anne Arundel County, and my experience in Anne Arundel County Public Schools was great. I feel like Annapolis High was definitely like the school for me. Like Ms. Great kind of talked about, I feel like I was able to excel, like I was confident, I felt like I had the support, I felt like I had the community and behind me and able to be able to excel and go after everything that I wanted to do. And so I definitely I don't have anything bad to say. It was definitely a good experience when I was here, throughout my high school, middle school, elementary school years.
Good. And where did you go to elementary and middle school?
I went to Rolling Knolls Elementary and I went to Severn River Middle.
Okay, great.
Yes.
And were you in AVID in middle school, or did you start in high school?
I started in high school, so I wasn't really familiar with it in middle school at all, but high school, my freshman year is when I got involved.
Great, great. And so you were in AVID all 4 years in
Yes.
high school. And then when you got to that senior year, which colleges did you choose to apply?
So I applied to Hampton University, Howard University, North Carolina A&T in North Carolina. I applied to Hofstra in New York, Towson University, and North Carolina Chapel Hill.
Okay. And how did that process go?
It was pretty easy going. I feel like I had the support, like Miss Great, and at the time Miss Spencer was there, and so they literally prepared us so well, making sure they read over our application. They knew us so well, so it was easy for them to help us find stories to tell in our essays. And so having someone read over it, multiple drafts to make sure it was perfect, having someone to help you find scholarships, which helped me tremendously my freshman year, and also just having the support, people who are well, I could see you do this. They kind of helped me get into my career, helped me choose my career in high school. And so I credit AVID for getting me to where I am today, because they were literally like my moms at school.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Miss Great, how did the AVID students support each other during that application process?
Oh my gosh, they motivate each other so well. Sometimes the application process can be daunting and they get down, on themselves a little bit, but they tend to bring themselves, up and come on, you can do this, let's get it done. and just having deadlines and holding each other accountable was very helpful too, because they were, like I said, they were like family, so one's down, you gotta bring them back up.
Yeah, and then the celebrations during the acceptance process. And
so
then,
hanging up, they
Yes.
wanted to see their acceptance letters up on the wall, and I mean, her class, it literally went around the whole classroom, I remember.
So after your acceptances came, what made you choose Hampton?
Both of my parents attended historically Black colleges and universities, and so from as long as I can remember, I had always gone back to like homecoming and got to like experience that culture. So I fell in love with the HBCU when I was a child, and so I just always kind of knew like that felt like home to me, being able to be surrounded by Black excellence. Sometimes it's hard when you're like even though Annapolis High School was very diverse, sometimes like the classes that you're in might not be. So when I was in like AP classes or maybe like honors courses, a lot of times I might be one of 2 Black students. And so knowing that like I can get 4 years of being surrounded by other Black excellence was like, oh, this is a no-brainer. Like, I just always knew it. I, of course, applied for other schools, but every time I went on a college tour, the HBCUs just resonated a little bit more with me personally.
Yeah, and that's one thing that I hear from a lot of students. It's that culture, it's that feeling of being on campus. There's a lot of traditions that you saw as a child and probably thought, okay, when I go to college, this is what it's going to be.
Yes, exactly.
So that's awesome. I really love that. So what information can you share with us about Hampton?
Yeah, so Hampton is located in Hampton, Virginia, not too far from Norfolk State. And so it is in like the suburbs. I feel like there's not like a whole bunch to do around it, but you're so involved in campus life, I feel like you don't really need to venture off as much. But it's definitely like a lot of different, majors and organizations that you can pretty much like explore. I know most of our popular majors are like the 5-year MBA program for business students. A lot of people go through that program. A lot of the science majors, so like marine biology, biochemistry, those are very popular. The journalism program is pretty big, like journalism, communications, public relations has grown. And so those are like some of the more popular majors. It's a fairly small school, like less than 4,000 students. Okay. So by the time you graduate, you've probably seen, your class, like know everybody, and you've probably seen majority of the students on the campus. So it is more so, like I said, the family oriented. Same thing, like a lot of your professors they're minorities, so it's like they look like you can tell they're invested in you, they support you, they want you to do your best. And so to me it feels like a family away from home. Like they make sure they check in and make sure your grades are okay, and like you have like freshman year you have curfew, so it still feels like you're not just thrown out to the wolves, like you still feel like you're kind of away from home, but these people want the best for you, so they are still like your family.
That's awesome. So what kind of activities did you participate in?
I did a lot more so like with my career goals, like radio. We had a television show called WHOV TV, so like doing sideline reporting with the basketball team and with the football team, and then like anchoring during the middle of the week on our like television station. I joined a sorority my sophomore year, Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, and so that was really, really exciting, getting to surround myself with other Black women who were killing it in their fields or just whatever they're doing. I joined our student recruitment team, so it was like doing tours when upcoming aspiring students would come to visit the campuses. So I did a good amount, and I loved every moment of it. So yeah.
Awesome. And are there any other activities or clubs you want to tell us about that maybe you didn't take part in but that you were able to like appreciate?
Yeah, we had this program called the Student Leadership Program. They definitely run the campus, and they are responsible for a lot of like just the leadership opportunities on the campus. Like when you go to different stuff, they are the ones who are like up front and center when it comes to like stuff that has to do with the president. They are always in like business casual, business professional, so they stand out. It's a lot of like the SGA presidents, like the class presidents. A lot of the leaders are in that program. And so I remember looking at them like, well, like this is really cool to see, you know, because everybody in it does well.
What are some of the fun things to do on campus?
So every Friday we have a day party. It's called 12 to 2, and it's like pretty much like a celebration. You made it through the end of the week, but there would be like a DJ for like 2 hours in like the student center, and it's like all of the clubs and organizations would have like vendors kind of like set up. So it's like if you wanted to learn information, you could go and talk to them. The sororities and fraternities would like stroll or like, you know, step at these, you know, 12 to 2 functions. Everybody would get dressed up, wear your heels, wear your best fits, and it was just like fun, like a day party. So I used to look forward to that every Friday.
And that was every Friday?
Every Friday. And like every organization had a different week, so a lot of times like each Friday was hosted by a different organization. So like Delta Sigma Theta might have one Friday, and it's like they would decorate the student center, you know, surrounded in, you know, crimson and cream colors and a bunch of, you know, banners and stuff like that. So that was probably what I looked most forward to every single week.
That sounds like so much fun.
Yeah.
And you would look forward to that every week. Do you think most students participated?
Yes. I remember, like, especially around homecoming, it probably was the biggest because people were coming back. And so, like, it would be jam-packed. Like, you can't even move. They would have, like, food trucks and stuff like that. But that's what we looked forward to. Like, that was probably, like, one of our highlights. Just, you know, reminiscing and remembering all the memories that we had when we would attend those, you know, day parties. So, yeah.
That was amazing that they did that every week.
Yeah, yeah.
That's really special for
Yes.
that college. So were there any experiences you had in college that you would have liked to change?
Not really change. I did get sick my sophomore year, so that was kind of like a interesting scenario, but I guess I wouldn't change it because it shapes who you are. You know, you go through some stuff, and I feel like it makes you who you are today. That was probably the most challenging because I had to come home from school for probably like almost a month. But it was like I was able to finish the semester, like probably had the highest GPA I ever had. So like it was a challenge. It was an obstacle I had to overcome. When I went back, I had to make some adjustments to just my lifestyle because of what had happened. But that was probably the most challenging, but I've learned how to kind of spin it into like a positive.
That's great. That's great. So Miss Great, so Rachel told us about all these colleges she applied to. How do you help your students learn about like all of the different colleges to help them make this important decision?
Well, we have in the curriculum the college research activities and things like that, but we also every year we would take a overnight college tour. So we would visit different states, maybe 2 states at a time, and just tour different colleges. HBCUs were included in the college tours and everything, so just to expose them to schools outside of Maryland. I know on the middle school level they have an opportunity to see some of the local colleges, but you know, what about what's going on in other states, you know, other opportunities. So that was a big thing that we love to do, and we still do. So this year we're planning on going to visit Virginia and North Carolina schools. So we're going in April, so we're looking to have a wonderful time as well as, you know, let the kids experience some things. The students will still be on campus, so they'll be able to talk to, you know, the students, interact and, you know, hear what's going on campus.
And I know it's great when you go on those college campus visits to have the kids look at the school, not only to be this school. So we're going to University of Maryland. We're not looking at that school just as University of Maryland. We're saying this is University of Maryland.
Right.
This is a large school. This is how many students go here. These are the majors. This is how the campus is laid out. It's like intertwined with some of the, you know, neighborhood and city around it.
Right.
And then we might visit another school. This is Bowie State. This is a smaller school. This is an HBCU.
Right.
The campus is more self-contained. These are the things that it offers. So even just being able to compare, you know, a large, maybe more urban school to a smaller suburban school to an HBCU to, you know,
Private,
to
public.
private and public. So all of those visits just help them to get a clearer picture of what different types of schools look like. And then, you know, visiting some of the specific ones too
Right.
really helps them to kind of make their decision. That's awesome. So Rachel, after you graduated from Hampton, what led you to decide to go to graduate school?
I've always wanted to at some point become a professor, like a college professor. And so I just knew that in order to do that, like from what I had understood is that I would need a master's degree in order to teach for college. And so I kind of just figured like I might as well just keep going while I am still kind of in the routine of like being a student. So I just knocked it out in 2 years, and you know, I'm happy that I made that decision.
And where did you go?
Georgetown University.
Okay. And you went right after college, so
The
no break?
following- No break. The following semester, like I did an internship that summer. That fall, I started.
Great. So, very personal question.
Yes.
How'd you pay for all of this?
Oh gosh. Okay. Undergrad, I had a lot of scholarships that I got for undergrad. For graduate school, it was more so I was working. Like I had started substitute teaching in Anne Arundel County for elementary school.
Nice.
And so like I was working to help pay for it, and then you know, luckily like I had my dad and my grandma who were helping me kind of pay for it the first year, and then my second year I ended up taking out a loan.
Okay.
So yeah.
Good. So you were able to do both of your degrees with a little debt.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
not a massive amount.
It's not
of debt.
massive, but
Good.
I mean I do have it. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So tell us a little bit about which school was it again?
Georgetown.
Georgetown.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about Georgetown.
So Georgetown, that experience was completely different than undergrad because I was working full time. Well, not really full time, but yes, I was working like 9 to 5 every single day. And I also was still living at home, so I was commuting. We only had classes twice a week because it was a master's program for working adults. And so the classes were only at night from 5 to 10. And so that helped me. Like I was able to work and then go to class after. And I remember it was definitely like, not overwhelming, but it was a busy time period because it's like you're working, so you got to get up the next morning, but it's like you have assignments that you have to get done. And I was in a journalism program, and so a lot of our assignments required us to do interviews and going out into community and finding stuff. So, you know, trying to make sure that I'm like balancing my schedule, and time management was key for sure. It was definitely a challenge, but I was able to get through it, and so, you know, I'm proud of myself for that. But it was a different experience in undergrad because that's not your life.
Right.
It was like that's a part of my life, but I was still at home. I still had responsibilities at home, and then I was still working. So it wasn't like I didn't feel like a student because I wasn't living on campus. I wasn't up there all the time. It was literally just 2 nights a week. And then I would commute. I would drive back and forth. So.
Okay. But still a good experience.
Yes. Yeah, I wouldn't trade it.
So tell us about your current career.
Yes. So currently I am a audio producer. So I work in podcasting. I work remote. So, you know, there's pros and cons with that. I've been in this role for 2 years now, and I work for this company called Vox Media. And under Vox Media, I work for SB Nation. It's a sports blog. And we have a specific blog covering the Philadelphia Eagles called Bleeding Green Nation. And so currently I work as the audio producer for Bleeding Green Nation.
Great. What does that entail?
It is podcasts. And so we have 10 podcasts, like 10 different shows on our podcast. So there's Bleeding Green Nation, and we have 10 different shows that are all run by freelancers. And so my job is to coordinate with their schedules to have, you know, figure out when they're going to record each week. They record their episode. I edit the episode. I publish it onto like Apple Podcasts, onto Spotify, wherever you stream your podcast. We do like live shows like after the games. We do like a live show where we're recapping what happened in the Philadelphia Eagles game the upcoming week. We also do interviews, so every once in a while I'll get to like interview players on Zoom. So that's like a lot of fun, just getting to talk to them. I got to interview like Jalen Hurts, so that was like probably the biggest interview I've done. Devontae Smith, one of the wide receivers for the Eagles. Some of the former players, I'll get to interview them. Fletcher Cox, I got to interview him. And so it's really cool. A lot of responsibilities, a lot of social media, like making sure you know how to like edit and post stuff on social media, a lot of writing. So it's like a broad spectrum of responsibilities. It definitely keeps you busy, a lot of nights, a lot of weekends. But I mean, that comes with the territory when you're working in sports. So I love it.
Yeah, so you're living your dream.
It's a stepping stone, you know, to getting me to my long-term dream. Yeah,
You're getting there. That's awesome. What is your long-term goal?
Sideline reporting for like a NBA team, NFL team, whether that's like a network like CBS Sports or like Fox Sports, ESPN. My dream would be to be on the sidelines covering and doing interviews.
That's awesome. So you love your sports.
Yeah, I do.
That's awesome. So was this what you thought you would pursue in high school?
Yes and no, not sports. I knew I wanted
Okay.
to get into journalism. Like in high school, I was involved with like the yearbook committee. So I knew like I enjoyed doing the interviews. I knew I enjoyed like seeing something, like creating the pages and seeing them, go from nothing to like a masterpiece, like that was fun, being able to be creative. I did like the morning show at Annapolis High School. It was called Pantherama, but I didn't know at that time. I thought I wanted to do local news. Like I thought I just
Okay.
wanted to be like a local news reporter. When I went to Hampton and I got to work with the athletic department, that's when I kind of was like, oh no, sports is my lane.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So what do you think has been the easiest adjustment moving from college to career?
The easiest adjustment in undergrad, like we were so busy, in addition to like your workload and making sure you're getting your assignments done, we still were involved in other organizations and you still had a social life. And so being able to transition that, like work, you have to get your assignments done at the end of the day. Sometimes you have to sacrifice, but at the end of the day, it's like still like a healthy balance. And so I think that's been the easiest transition because I was so busy in undergrad. It wasn't like a hard adjustment to having to work a 9 to 5, but also being able to hang out with my friends and family. So I think like just being busy was probably like helped me the most to adjust.
That's a really good piece of advice.
Yeah.
Right? They always say if you want something done, give it to a busy person.
Yeah.
Right? Because they're going to fit it in. They're not going to
Yes.
brush it off because they don't have time. And what do you think has been challenging about moving from college to career?
The first year I struggled with just being away from your friends, because I feel like that's the one time, like you make lifelong friends in college. And so when you graduate, everybody goes back to their states, different states. And so it's like I couldn't just drive to see my friends all the time. So that was kind of like a interesting adjustment. It was like trying to make a new life back home because I came home. So it was like reconnecting with high school friends, getting, spending a lot more time with my family. So that was harder, being able to schedule because everybody has lives. So like when I want to hang out with my friends in different cities or do a summer trip, what weekend works best for everybody. Like that's probably the hardest, is like trying to schedule and make sure everybody's available.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So I'm sure there are things that you learned in AVID
Oh yeah.
that you use throughout college and grad school.
Yeah.
What are some of those things?
Organization. I remember so plainly like our binder checks. We had to do binder checks. I don't remember how frequent they were, but they would make sure, we were organized. We had dividers, for our different subjects. Note taking, we did Cornell notes. I did use Cornell notes because it helped you just kind of structure your notes a little bit more a few years in college, so I did use those. But I would definitely say like the time management and organization are the biggest.
Yep. And how about in your career?
Oh, same.
Right,
Like I said,
right?
it's trying to
It's very
balance.
funny because we talk about, what did you take with you to college? And it's so funny because what you took with you in college
Yes.
is then what you use in your professional life
Yes.
too. You're like, oh, wait, I know what works.
Yes.
So it's funny because I was a first-gen college student,
Okay.
but I wasn't an AVID student. And now when I look back, I was like, oh, if I knew that,
Yeah.
at the beginning of my freshman year. But these are still tools that we have to use throughout our professional lives because they work.
Yep.
Once you figure out what works for you,
Yes.
you stick with it.
That's right.
Do you have any advice you would give to current students to help them prepare for their post-secondary life?
Utilize your network. That's what I'm learning right now. Like there are so many, like you meet people for a reason. And I feel like at the end of the day, like these people are there to help you. And so sometimes it's scary or you don't want to like open your mouth and, let people know where you're trying to go. But at the end of the day, like you can't get anywhere on your own. And so my biggest lesson would definitely be like, reach out to your teachers, reach out to your peers. If you have family members who are maybe in a field that you want to be in or know someone who's in that field, like don't be afraid to ask them, can I shadow you? You know what I'm saying? Because they might know somebody who can get you your next job opportunity. They might know somebody who can, you never know. So that my biggest thing would be utilize your network. Reach out to people, like follow up with your teachers when you graduate. Like just don't forget them, like because you do, have special connections with some of your teachers, and you just never know. Like you can go back and help them as well. So that would be my biggest advice, is like your network is there for a reason, so take advantage of it because it'll help you get far.
Yeah, we all need cheerleaders.
Yes.
So knowing who your cheerleaders are and you know who's going to be there to give you that pep talk when you need it.
Yes.
That is so important. That is so important. Miss Great, do you what's in her future?
Oh my gosh. More excellence.
Yeah.
She's there. She's really there. She works hard, and I can see her making a huge impact, you know, not only in our community, but in the world.
Yeah, I can't believe you're less than 10 years out of college. You're well on your way to your career. You got 2 degrees under your belt. You're still keeping in touch with your AVID teacher. Do you get her back to the classroom to talk to the kids?
She's very busy.
Yeah.
In her earlier
Yeah.
undergraduate years, she would come back. I'd like to share that she did establish a scholarship for Annapolis High School AVID students who plan on attending or have been accepted to a HBCU. So,
Oh, that's awesome. Who did you work with to do that?
She helped me. I literally called her because I wanted to do it, but I didn't really know, like I'm saying, use your network. I didn't know how, like, what does that look like trying to execute this? So I just reached out and I was like, Miss Great, I want to do this, but I don't even know how. So I went and, you know, spent some time with her, and she helped me create the application, like narrow down like what my focus was. So definitely shout out to her because she helped me, you know, get that out there.
Well, and shout out to you for having the heart and the interest to do that.
Yeah.
So how many years have you done that?
This will be the
This
literally
will be the first year.
This will be the first year.
Are the applications pouring in?
I just put them out, so
Okay.
yeah. The deadline is April 18th.
Okay, that's
Yes.
very exciting.
Yeah.
That's very exciting. All right, well, we hope that we can get you back to Annapolis to talk to some of the kids about your interesting career. Maybe we could do a little video about your career as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
Because that's, you know, definitely a lot of the careers out there we don't even know about right now. So to, you know, have someone in a really unique field to be able to say to students, you know, this is what I do and this is what it looks like every day is so important.
Yeah.
Because we can tell them the old traditional jobs, right? But the what's out there now, you know, is always changing. So
Yes.
I would love to be able to, you know, get some more information and be able to share,
Definitely.
you know, your career with students.
Yeah.
So thank you both for joining us today and sharing your stories with us. We're grateful for your commitment to AVID and to AACPS. And thank you for joining us today. Tune in next time for AVID Achievers.